we're just gonna do another jump. Like, I'm just trying to get where I need to go here. Yeah, Hellion Gate first. Mm-hmm. Can I just jump down to Greenbelt from here, or do I need to get fuel? Alright, no, I do need to get some fuel. Derelict fuel barge. I have very shitty dice. I literally just need one thing of fuel. That's all I need. You know what? 2 fuel? I'll take it. Because I can try and get some data. My other dice now. Oh, that's not good. Let's see if I can just recover that missing stress. Gotta head out? Hey, thanks for popping in, Bubs. Hope you have a wonderful night, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Alright, let's get some food in us. Alright, now we jump to Greenbelt. It's been a while since I've been to Greenbelt. The biosphere, once barren, is transformed. Where it was once dry and gray, it now swirls with amber dust. A hazy cloud cut through with the bone-white tendrils of steppe silk. Aki, in mask and goggles, lets the biosphere's circulating air play with the end of her scarf, twirling and twisting, even threatening to rip it from her neck. That scarf, she has explained, is woven from the vast fibers of the steppe silk itself. That is why this place is known as Weaver's Fields, for the workshops of Greenbelt residents creating fabric from its steppe silk fibers. Weavers who fled from Ember's steppe and those taught afresh by Aki herself. Isn't it beautiful? Aki asks, her eyes glowing. Ember's steppe reborn on this rock, but not as an archive, as something new. The plants themselves are reconfigured. The steppe silk adapts well to the microgravity, even thrives, and the dust itself becomes a cloud that surrounds it. Aki points to a tendril stretching across the space. What was once a burrowing plant is now a bridging plant. Like us, it projects itself across empty space, pushing out into its new conditions. Aki looks at you. Sorry, I'm rambling. This place does that to me. Her chuckle is muffled by her mask. It is beautiful. Aki bows. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Let's leave the dust house. We can talk more easily outside. She shepherds you through some nearby double doors, the space between blasting you with air to clean away the dust. You find yourself in a sparse room, racks of unfamiliar tools on the wall, slit-like windows looking out into the amber dust storm. This is just the beginning for us. Aki has slipped off her mask, and her voice is crisp and bright above the rumbling of the air recyclers. The steppe silk is already being harvested, retted, and woven. This is no synthetic fiber from the dark side looms. This is a natural fabric out here in this unnatural place. Aki brushed the little dust away. We will trade it and get what Greenbelt needs to stay stable, to feed its people. I am the administrator, but the workers are the owners here. We will make a future for ourselves from our work. Aki shrugs. We control our path. What more could we want? Silence falls in the room. The idea of such a future is so desirable that it's almost painful. An idea that haunts you. You can spend as much time here as you like. Aki breaks the silence. Somehow aware of your thoughts. I find the noise soothes me. Thank you very much, Aki. She bows gently. She pauses. There's something you want to ask, she smiles. I can see it right there on the tip of your tongue. It can wait. If you say so. You can find me in my unit if you need me. You leave Aki in her dust house, surrounded by the landscape of her homeworld, one of many creatures born on that parched moon that is in the process of transforming into something new. Alright. Definitely do some of these upgrades. I'm gonna go with my reroll dice cannot be a 1, because that is always just painful. And I'm going to grab an increase in engineering and an increase to my interface. Alright. That's a pretty good stat distribution, I think. Alright. Aki, I gotta have a chat with you. Aki is working in her unit. Now the step silk is established and Greenbelt stable, it seems like the right time to bring her Nimbus spores. Aki looks at the crate of spores with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. The well-traveled crate does appear very rough at this point. Come in! The door of Aki's unit slides open, and you see her perched at a terminal, her face pale in the blue light of the screen. You've not seen her in this setting before. She seems paler, older, but she isn't surrounded by the soft light of the biomes. Just one moment. Her eyes do not leave the screen, and she leans in closer, squinting at some detail. You get the sense this is her least favorite part of her administrative position. She sighs and looks up. Done. Immediately her eyes are drawn to the crate you carry. What have you brought me? I have a gift for you. She raises her eyebrows. From who? Let me see. As she unlocks the worn catches on the crate, you explain about Nemba and his work to feed the refugees in the underhang. You aren't sure Aki is listening, though. She seems too eager to see inside the crate. She manages to get the lid open and lifts a dented canister out of the inside. She turns it, peering through the small windows of the dusty-looking translucent sheet curled inside. Spore prints! She looks at you. This is quite a gift. From Miss Nemba, you said. She carefully slots the canister away. You will make good use of these. The tunnels under Greenbelt will make an excellent mushroom garden. She smiles to herself. I was lucky enough to be taught how to tend mushrooms by a true expert. Who was that? Someone from my journey here. A botanist on Erlin's Eye. She was very kind to us. Aki smiles. She would have liked to meet you. I would like to meet Nemba. Perhaps we can find some commonality. She glances over her shoulder at her terminal. But I can't leave Greenbelt. Not now. She looks at you sheepishly. I am a little nervous to ask this of you, given your ferrying back and forth of messages and deliveries. But would you bring Nemba here so we can speak? Hey, gladly, Aki. She smiles. I hope that would be the case. A shrill beep begins emanating from Aki's terminal. She smiles. The Weavers. I need to speak to them. You make your way out of the unit as Aki takes a deep breath, then accepts the incoming transmission. One more run from Greenbelt to the far spindle and back again. At least you aren't carrying spores this time. Alright, well, I gotta get fuel. You know, supplies are cheap here, so might as well get them. Is there any... Can't really work anywhere here, unfortunately. But I can give some supplies to the stray. Now that you're familiar with the stray, you can feed her directly, but she's still a little nervous around you and the crew. You put supplies into a special feeder Bliss set up. The stray waits until you are outside the room to come eat. However, we have some dice we can work on our own cargo bay. Fungus farmer. It turns out that turning a cargo bay into a mushroom farm is more work than you thought. This will take a while. Part of the job of preparing the bay is finding all the stray caps that you don't want to take root and pulling them out. You start to get a good intuition for where the mushrooms like to hide, and you're soon finding whole stacks of them. No, my energy. They're stealing my energy. The mushrooms find the smallest crevices to hide in, and even when you pull them out, they have a habit of growing back. Alright. Glitch dice, what will you do? Nothing good. Alright, let's get a meal at the Wheat Chief before we head out. Food on Greenbelt is plentiful and fresh, which means most of the workers prefer to eat it raw to get the most from its flavor. Alright. Heading out we go. Can't go directly to Far Spindle, but we can just go to Hellion Gate. Let me scavenge up some fuel. Oh, that did not go good. Will this one go any better? No, it does not. Eh, tragic. My lack of an endure skill for this area alone makes this particularly difficult. However, I can get some more Solheim data. Search for supplies. Might find something. Nope, just lost energy. Right, away we go. Fire spindle. Alright. Go to the trade hall and just stock up on everything because, my god. Let's see if we can make some work on the scrapper ship. Actually, is there anywhere I can use my interface? Nope, that's Endure. Emma's Kitchen is our next quest. Trade hall, no. Signal station? Yes, I can align the arrays. That'll get us some good cryo. The signal station makes use of the network of arrays across the far spindle. Synchronizing them is specialist work. Yes, getting back some cryo, finally. You find a syntax the arrays respond to, making it faster and easier to gather signals. The crew is impressed. I am the signal chaser. Working with the arrays means being delicate and structured in your requests. You manage to get them to respond. No, that one didn't work. However, we can just go to Nemba's kitchen now. Take Nemba to Aki. Nemba congratulates you on arranging the meeting. Now you just need the fuel to get him to Green Belt to meet Aki. Alright, well, we got the fuel for it. Let's go, Nemba. Aki comes to meet Nemba at the entrance to Greenfields. You can tell she is in full administrator mode. Her bows are precise, her words carefully chosen, but her manner is not without its distinctive warmth. Nemba responds in kind, taking a diplomatic tone, with a wry grin for her benefit. As Aki rides the tour, you watch them from one of the bridges, their conversation muffled by the greenery all around. They both look at home amongst the growing things, hands reaching out to touch stray leaves, faces dappled with sunlight. When Nemba returns afterwards, you aren't surprised to see him pleased. Plans are in motion, sleeper. Nemba smiles for a moment and then catches himself. Optimistic plans. What did you negotiate? It is, I hope, a mutually useful agreement. She graciously offered a regular supply of stealth silk cloth for clothing and some construction of shelters in the bays of the underhang. We're also going to see about settling people here in Greenbelt to work with the farmers. Nemba sighs. It's always a little strange to talk like this about the lives of people who have been exposed to so much suffering. We do them no benefit to couch our words in platitudes. Nemba looks out at the green fields. Aki understands that. She is a refugee herself. She fled to her moon many cycles ago. Nemba squints. We share that as well. You fled the war? I did. Does that change how you see me? Nemba sighs. Would it have made you treat me differently? He sniffs. Sorry, I am being unfair. I just find there is an expectation that, if I am a refugee, I must be desperate. I must beg for aid, show my suffering. Nemba folds his arms. I prefer to make plain requests, or even better, strong demands. You think of the back-and-forth journeys made for both Aki and Nemba, and the aid that was asked of you. Would you have done the same if the request hadn't been so strong, the demands so obvious? Speaking to Aki, I could see she has experienced the same treatment, though I think she is less hardened by it. We both have our own reasons to do what we do, for why we enjoy it in our own ways. We don't need to explain ourselves to others. Nembo looks over his glasses at you. I am glad to have met her. Thank you for your part in it. I'm glad to help. What I like about you, Sleeper, is that I believe you when you say that. Nemba smiles wryly. I will stay a little longer. Aki has promised to send me back to the far spindle with the first shipment of fabric. I will then gather those who wish to come here and send them back in the same freighter. He smiles warmly at the view of the green fields. The exchange begins, the work never ends. You say your goodbyes and leave Nemba on the bridge, enjoying the dappled light. After all the shuttling of spores across the belt, you finally have a clear view of Aki and Nemba, and their response to their own hardship. They are not saints, acting from a position of purity, but pragmatists, with an intent to change those things that once marked them. The future they will build together is one you are eager to see. I am indeed looking forward to seeing it. But for now, I need fuel. I need food as well. And we'll see if we get some more work done on our own mushroom farm. I'm all quite inspired seeing Greenbelt. It's a very beautiful place. I like Greenbelt. Yeah, like I've already read all of these, so I'm just gonna spam out the dice and get her done so we can go. Turns out turning a cargo bay into a mushroom farm is more work than you thought. It'll take a while. Indeed it will. However, now we can go to the Hollow. Eugen asked us to go here, so let's see what we can find. Alright, to the Hollow we go. Big yawn. Sleeper! Eugen takes you aside. I'm gonna head into the Radius Marcus, find my contact, or the data on the Aphelion. You should come with. 2 sets of eyes are better than 1. He smiles. Who is this contact anyway? You know how it is. A man never reveals his contacts. Eugen winks. He's just an old friend, one I've traded favors with a few times, and who has a good nose for data trails. But trails run cold quickly, so we should get on his. Eugen grins and heads for the airlock. You watch him go, unsure what his swagger might hide, but you've come this far with him. Maybe it's time to see where it all leads. Alright. Debris dealers, radius markets, signal ship, and Bella's jetty. Well, the sunward pole. Man, my dice are really not good right now. Ghosted contact. Eugen's signal chaser went dark. Takes some time to work to find out why and where he is hiding. I will just start by asking around. The market has plenty of stalls and they're regulars. One of them must know something about Eugen's contact. The Radius Market merchants don't seem to like questions from outsiders very much. You trek all over the market and get nothing. You take a more subtle approach, asking about signal chasers more generally. One scrapper mentions someone who could be Eugen's contact. Right, rolling out the dice. Gamble. Oh. You hear that a few merchants have moved on recently, thanks to some aggressive new visitors. Could they be connected? Alright. End the cycle. Not days. Cycles. Fairly good dice there, at least. I need to fill up my fuel tanks again. Fuel is rarely available in the Hollow, as so many salvagers are based here. The rest of the market is less straightforward, though. Oh shit, this is where I can sell processed scrapped. Always plenty of raw scrap around, but high quality processed plate is of significant value here. Hmm. I was actually not aware about that. So raw scrap, I can get it turned into processed scrap and far spindle. Don't think I can get that done anywhere else though. But I think I get a little bit of cryo from doing that. Signal ship. Nothing of particular interest there. Sunward pole. Help with repairs. Signaling station on the pole is paying a small fee to anyone who helps seal up the damage sustained in a recent explosion. Alright. You've heard that a drifting Conway munition may have been responsible for the damage to the pole. Is that just a rumor? I mean, we can do a little bit of work and find out. You make good progress. The other volunteers are impressed. I get the feeling they've worked with a sleeper before. Really? That's a rarity in these times. You get to work sealing up the layers of broken units. His explosion, whatever caused it, must have been huge. It's not much cryo, but... I mean, cryo is cryo. Yeah, let's give the glitch dice a go. I very well might just finish off this item. Nope. Tragic. Bella's Jetty. We'll just buy a meal. Bella gets fresh supplies from Greenbell, but it's what she does with them that impresses her customers, making finely diced Shirazi salad. Interesting. Shirazi salad. I don't know what that is. I'm kind of curious now. End the cycle. Alright, back to the radius markets. The market has plenty of stalls and the regulars. One of them must know some about Eugen's contact. Eugen gets your attention. It seems he's found something. Oh, man, I'm yawning so much. The radius markets surround you in Eugen. Much of the architecture of the Starward Belt is built on a Solheim foundation. As a corporation from the core, Solheim structures tend towards cardinal directions, towards respecting gravity in a place where it has little effect. But the radius markets have no such bias, and no singular direction. Instead, the stalls and shops built from scrap frame and hull plate project outwards from all 8 of the surrounding walls. The effect is overwhelming, with activity and interest in all directions. Between the windows that open to faint stars, scrap dealers, street food vendors, data fences, and tailors compete for the attention of the stream of customers drifting around you. Sleeper, Eugen draws close to get your attention, his voice barely raised. Take a look. He jerks his head, motioning down the market. You refocus your attention, your eyes drawn to a group of dark-suited spacers with shaved heads. 5 of them gathered around another retreating figure. The spacers are noticeably distinct from the rest of the crowd. Their tight and complex suits kept in pristine condition, and all in the same design, a rarity amidst the Starward Belt's ramshackle fashions. You see one of them is gesticulating aggressively, chopping the air with his hand. Eugen nudges you again. Not the singers. You glance at him, unsure of that term. The one they're threatening. Eugen starts to move towards his eyes. Eugen starts to move forward, his eyes fixed on the group. That's my contact. You turn back to the group, the singers as Eugen called them, and see they're rounding on the figure now. Their body language is clear. This is about to come to blows. Eugen clearly sees the shift too. Before he can say a word, he is off, gliding hard through the crowds towards them. You give chase without thinking, kicking off the nearest strut and angling yourself through the central void of the market behind Eugen. Eugen doesn't stop. He barrels straight into the singers, sending 2 of them spinning into the crowd, to a chorus of shouts and protests. I mean, I'm throwing hands. You follow Eugen's example, arcing your path into one of the singers and throwing an elbow. Both you and Eugen rain blows down on the crew, sending them scattering across the markets and into the crowd that has gathered to watch. As the last one disappears, you look over at a bruised Eugen, a stream of bloody spheres floating from his nose. He gives you a nod. That was not a good idea. Actually, what was I do for you? That was not a good idea. Eugen's contact looks between the two of you. I should have guessed you'd pull this kind of shit, Eugen. Louis. Eugen comes a little closer. Maybe if you stayed in touch, wouldn't have to come in like the cavalry. Well, those guys aren't going to forget you two anytime soon. He sighs. Come with me. Louis leads you away from the open market, most of the crowd having dispersed into a small passageway. He finds a hatch, opens it, and beckons you both through before slipping inside, closing it behind you. So, what business do you have with the singers? Eugen perches on a stool in the small workshop, picking up a tool from the mag strip above the bench and turning it over in his hands. Singers? Is that what you call them? Louis looks nervous. First I've known of them is when they turned up a few cycles back and started pressing me for info. I've run into some singers before. Not these ones, but they all dress the same. Eugen glanced between you and Louis. They're refugees out of Ember's Song, one of the moons of that gas giant in the inner system. Their moon is a volcanic hellhole, so, while these guys are refugees, fleeing the war like most, tend to be tough as hell, aren't used to being told no. Well, that part checks out. Louis smiles a weak smile. They've been pressing me for data for cycles, ever since they showed up. My data. Eugen clicks the tool back on the mag strip and fixes Louis with a hard stare. You've been shopping it around then? Trying to drive a bidding war? Louis holds up his hands. No, nothing like that. He's afraid of Eugen, and you worry why that might be. I just wanted to verify the data. I asked around. Someone I showed it to, well, they mentioned a fraction drive. You see Eugen bristle with anger. Louis keeps talking, speeding up. That was all, but a couple of cycles later, these singers, as you call them, started showing up, and I had to hide myself away. Hard to run a data business when you can't even go out to meet your clients. So that's why you went quiet? Louis turns to you, seemingly glad not to have to look at the angry Eugen. Exactly, Louis sighs. So to focus on getting the story straight, because what I was told, well, it's quite the tale. A friend I showed it to, he told me he's heard about that ship before. Mostly what he thought were rumors, about a fraction drive ship. Apparently, when Solheim collapsed, there was a struggle over who got to take it. Two execs from the old corporate hierarchy wanted it, and some of their underlings found out about it too. Those wrecks you visited? That was the site of a battle over the thing. The ship was a hot ticket even then. You think back to the twisted and blasted remains of the ships, the wreckage strewn across the asteroid. You wonder how many died to try to get the Aphelion path in its golden drive. Seems like both the execs got spaced, but someone came back later, slipped the ship out of the wreck that was carrying it. Here's the funny thing. Rather than use it, they dismantled it, took the ship apart here at the Hollow. Hell, there's probably strut work from the Aphelion path in this very station. Louis looks around at the salvage compartment you're all inside. So, it's gone. Not quite, Louis smiles, enjoying telling the story now. They weren't stupid enough to dismantle an interstellar drive. The story goes they buried it on a rock out in the shoals, totally unmarked. With thousands of rocks out there, they could leave it as long as they wanted and come back when they were ready. Thing is, they never came back. Eugen finishes the sentence, his anger fading now. Bingo! Louis grins as he holds up a thumbnail drive. I've got the coordinates of the beacon that will lead you there. Eugen snatched it from his fingers. Should have led with that. Louis sighs deeply. That's just the start of the trail, no doubt, but it'll get you there if you manage to follow it. Eugen nods at you and goes to leave, his hands immediately on the container hatch. Hey, Louis rushes up. Aren't you going to pay for that? Not after you leak that the fraction drive exists to your friends, the singers, and anyone else who's looking, no. Eugen pulls the door open. Keep it quiet next time. Louis turns to you. Come on, friend. The singers chase away my clients. He shows you his upturned palms. 50 cryo for the effort, or just whatever you have. I'll take it. I'm desperate. Yeah, sure. I'll give you 50 cryo. You pass him a stack of chits, and he clasps your hand. I appreciate it. He looks over your shoulder to see if Eugen is still there. Hey, look. Be careful with that one, alright? He's not to be trusted. You turn and Eugen is already gone. You follow him out of the container. Time to go find a fraction drive. Okay. Well, we have that to do. You know what? No, I'm going to try and finish it up the work on the mushroom bay first. Let's see if I can get this done. I would like to. I don't think I'm getting this done. Nah, it's still possible, technically. Odds are very low. Oh, no. 20% chance. 1 in 5. Do we finish it? No, we do not. Alright. Let's go out to the Aphelion beacon. This is it. The first beacon in the trail that leads to the Aphelion past Fraction Drive. Eugen's eager to get there ahead of the singers than anyone else. Alright. Let's get it going. Something like this. Trying to remember what I need for this quest. I mean, I'm just gonna take Bliss. They just have a very well-rounded set of skills that complement, especially when I am forced to take Eugen. Alright, travel the contract. Confirm the crew. They're coming up in the beacon sort now. Seraphim brings the ship into place. Signal's pretty weak, though. He turns in his chair. What you get for chasing 10,000 cycle old leads that got a lot of people killed. Since you explained the situation to Seraphim, he hasn't gotten any more enthusiastic about the job. Nah, I didn't like that voice crack. Since you explained the situation to Seraphim, he hasn't gotten any more enthusiastic about the job. Especially as it's a job that comes from Eugen. Seraphim shuts down the engine and turns to Eugen. It's on for you to go have a poke around those rocks. He waves a hand at the scattering of asteroids. Enjoy. Eugen barely seems to notice the sarcasm. A kind of fixed determination has come over him since you left the Hollow. It's not something you've seen before. Let's suit up and find the beacon. He pats you on the shoulder. Lewis said it's the first of a trail, so the faster we locate this one and get ourselves pointed to the next, the better. Enough messing around. He kicks off and glides out of the cockpit, heading straight for the airlock. Not the most attractive of locales, Bliss smiles as they nod towards the sparse gray rocks. But we should keep our eyes open anyway. Those that leave trails like to leave traps, too. Never worked on a fraction drive before. This thing turned out to be real. I call shotgun on digging around in its guts. They wink and follow Eugen. Just you and Seraphim left in the cockpit. He taps at his console, ignoring you. You think this is a bad idea? Seraphim turns. Me? He mockingly puts a finger on his own chest. Look, he gets serious for a second. People have been searching for this thing since the Solheim collapse. It's a lot of desire directed at one hidden drive. Objects like that tend to get people in trouble, Seraphim sighs. At least in my experience. So take it slow. Keep your eyes on Eugen. Seraphim turns back to the console, busying himself with diagnostics. You turn and leave the cockpit, your mind on the beacon and the trail that should, all being well, end at a ticket out of the entire system. Alright. Well, I got a pretty good skill for this, actually. Triangulate the signal. That is not good. Okay. So... combining multiple layers of signal analysis reaps rewards. Almost there. Alright. Push. Alright, I can work with those. The beacon signal is weak and dispersed. With some work, it might be possible to determine its precise location. I get 2 stress per failure on this. I'll give it a try. Okay, no. Alright. End the cycle. Alright, those I can work with. Search the rocks, Eugen. Through effort and care, the search area is narrowed. Almost there. Alright, triangulate the signal again. You isolate the beacon's location to a single asteroid. Time to get the next vector. Aphelion beacon. Analyze the site. Alright, Bliss, this is for you. The site where the beacon is planted shows signs of a ship landing and excavation. Perhaps analyzing the remains would help. This beacon contains the coordinates for the next beacon in the trail. You need to extract them. There are a few artifacts here. Perhaps they might contain useful data. Seems to be data hidden in the beacon signal. Could be the location of the next step on the trail. The corrupted data seems to be hiding some coordinates. This has to be it. You have the vector for the next beacon. Time to follow the trail. We're in. Eugen nods the data port. Deep inside the body of the beacon. He peers through his suit's faceplates at it. You have part of the plating removed, and you're pretty sure you have access to the coordinates you need. All that's left is a slotted drive. I've got this. Eugen takes out a thumbnail drive and slots it. Easy as can be. A smile flickers across his face. You peer into the beacon. It's been a delicate job getting the security access and the system knowledge to find the coordinates for the next step. But it all seems to have passed without incident. Got it. Eugen pulls the drive and thumps you on the shoulder. Let's head to the next one. Look alive down there. Seraphin's voice comes over the comms. We've got a ship on approach. Need to make ourselves scarce. You and Eugen exchange looks. The singers. You kick off and glide towards the ship, but Eugen goes in the other direction. You wonder what he is doing for a second, and then you see it. He arrives at the beacon and immediately begins laying into its metal shell. He pulls a tool from his suit's belt and caves in the beacon with an anger that chills you. When he's done, the beacon just is another chunk of debris in the shoals. He joins you in the cockpit. Seraphin gives you a look, but doesn't say a word. He just silently taps in the new coordinates. You look across at Eugen, his expression fixed and his eyes cold. Then Seraphin fires up the drive. A shrill bleep wakes you from your stargazing. What was that? Seraphin looks around the cockpit as warning lights and sirens sound all over the ship. The terminal screens flicker, some of them not coming back on. You hear a groan from somewhere deep in the ship. Some kind of pulse. An energy weapon? Seraphin slaps the side of his flickering terminal until it stabilizes. On it, you see a red dot moving further away from the center of a circle. A ship is accelerating away. Seraphin taps at his console, bringing up the transponder information. He turns to Eugen with a hard stare. It's Vesna. Eugen shakes his head. Gotten in one. Seraphin grits his teeth. The limb hound. Registered in the fast spindle. He slams his fist on his keyboard. What did she do? She knocked out our drive. Must have been waiting for us. Seraphin sighs. We need to get it activated as quickly as we can. Eugen is up from his seat, peering out of the window at the large rock floating just outside. The beacon has to be there. Vesna cracked it and then waited for us to catch up. She was trying to dissuade us. Leo's done a pretty good job. Seraphin scrolls through layers of drive diagnostics. Give up now? Eugen glanced at you. We're so close. Eugen's right. Seraphin sniffs but says nothing. The singers are out there too. If we're lucky, they'll cancel each other out. Eugen goes to leave the cockpit. We decrypt the beacon and fix the drive. No distractions. Eugen kicks off and glides out of the cockpit towards the airlock. Drive is likely just a system problem. Bliss gives you a serious look. Isolate the fault and it shouldn't be an issue, but it isn't going to happen fast. Look, Seraphim turns in his seat. We're in this now. No way back, only forward. The moment this goes south, and it will, I'll pull you out and we're leaving, whether Eugen wants to back out or not. Seraphim meets your eye. He's serious. I understand. Seraphim nods, saying nothing. Seraphim turns back to his console. This, as far as he is concerned, is your problem to fix. Alright. Disabled drive. So, either force startup or engineering. Well, Bliss is our engineer, so we'll have them do that. You won't be getting far with a disabled drive. Time to get it started again, however you can. Bypass the entire control system of the drive and triggering it manually is a drastic option, but time is short. The drive is dangerous when worked on like this, as your crew soon finds. Alright. Forget tinkering with the drive. With no time to waste, physically forcing it to restart might be the best option. A few of the monitoring systems are fried. Forcing them to activate take a lot of effort. What can I do anything here? Alright, I can decrypt the signal pretty easily, actually. Once again, the beacon signal hides the coordinates of the next beacon. This should be the final one. Among the corrupted strings are a few pieces of data here and there. The data is corrupted. Can anything be hidden here? Run it. Bypass the security system by rewiring around them is surprisingly effective. End the cycle. That's all we can get done today. Oh shit. I lost 2 of my dice. That is not good. Alright. Once again, the beacon signal has, of course, the next beacon. This should be the final one. The corrupted data seems to be hiding some coordinates. This has to be it. Alright, well, pretty much you two have to get the engine fixed, is how I'm looking at all of this. Because I can get us the next coordinates, but I need you two to get the damn drive going. The bypass seems possible, but it means getting in the guts of the drive. Alright, that worked. I mean, it's working. Not working the best, but it is working. A few of the monitoring systems are fried. Forcing them to activate take a lot of effort. Alright. End the cycle. Alright. Eugen, finish up the engine. Alright, the rig's drive is running once more. There's no time to lose. Alright, decrypt the signal. Alright. Bliss, can you rewire the beacon? Yeah. You have the vector for the final beacon. Time to end this. Seraphim punches the final set of coordinates into his console and runs a fresh set of diagnostics on the rig's drive. Everything comes up green. The atmosphere in the cockpit is tense. None of you know what you might be flying into. Eugen's jaw is set, his eyes on the stars and scattered rocks, his goal in reach. It's not a goal to be underestimated. A fraction drive, one that can take any ship out of the system and beyond, one that can forge a path through the surrogate systems few can take. Freedom, both from this system's politics and the structures of power that dominate the passage of people through colonized space. The problem with such a lofty ambition is that it is infectious, seductive. It is desirable enough to draw people out, bring them to their absolute limit. You have seen that in Eugen. The singers, too, are shaped by that desire, and Vesna, the steely-eyed captain you don't seem to be able to shake. The question is, who will flinch first? Here you are, moored around a remote and airless rock, a scattering of debris concealing an object of great value, in a system spiraling into war. We're the last here. Seraphim shuts down the drive. At least no one started shooting. Best not only kill as a last resort. Eugen looks out at the rock. The singers I'm less sure about. Reassuring, Seraphim deadpans. So, what now? Walk out there and start digging? We talk it over with them. A fraction drive doesn't divide in three, sleeper. You turn to face Eugen, but he is already gone. Get after him. Seraphim shakes his head. I'm going to keep the rig warm. I get the feeling we're going to be needing it. As you glide out of the cockpit, you hear the airlock cycling. Eugen is already out. You speed up, grabbing a suit and wrestling it on as you head for the airlock. The door hisses open to reveal a sparse landscape. Twisted parts of a facility or ship corroded beyond recognition jut up and out of the dusty rock. Squinting into the faint and distant sun, you make out two figures in suits, standing a fair distance apart in the middle of the loose circle of debris. You glide down towards them, specks of loose gravel and decaying metal bouncing off your suit as you do. No, a voice crackles through your comms as you approach, broadcasts over the open channel. None of us want to die out here. You see them now, the two figures, Vesna and the leader of the singers, Peter, facing each other across the dusty plain. Vesna's arm jutting out from her body, her hand resting on an object at her hip, a weapon. Keep your distance, sleeper. Her eyes flick over to you as you approach. This godforsaken rock is crowded enough as it is. We set foot here first. The claim is ours, by anyone's judgment. Peter speaks calmly and slowly, his arms at his hips and his palms upturned. And I suspect we are also the best equipped to find the fraction drive and put it to use. Anyone's judgment? Vesna scoffs. Who do you see out here to validate your claim? She gestures at the rock-strewn void with one hand, her other firmly on the grip of her handgun. The sleeper is our witness here. Peter turns slowly to you. I'm sure they will verify our claim. I will. Vesna shakes her head gently. You saw nothing. Her eyes flick to you. You think they'll share? Then you know nothing about the singers. You look between the two of them, searching their faces for an intent, an opening, anything. Vesna's ocular implants give nothing away, but the visible tension in her gun arm suggests failing patience. Peter, meanwhile, projects an atmosphere of considered calm, but there is violence behind that benign smile, and a crew of singers somewhere out in the dark. Vesna, using that weapon will seal your fate. Perhaps. She smiles, daggers at you. But I doubt you will be alive to see that come to pass. Her arm tenses. The shot is silent, its direction unclear, but its effect is immediate. The side of Vesna's suit explodes in a geyser of escaping oxygen. She spins, clutching at the wound to clamp it closed. As she does, you see the shot grazed her, splitting the suit but leaving her body beneath intact. Might want to run and get that fixed, Vesna. Eugen slips out from the shadow of a piece of debris at the edge of the circle. He holds a long gun at his hip. What are you doing? Claiming what's mine. Eugen's eyes are fixed on Peter as he moves slowly closer. You son of a bitch! Vesna is doubled over, unable to take her hand away from the hole in her suit without risking immediate depressurization. Eugen draws alongside you, his eyes still on Peter. Time to turn yourself around, get in that ship of yours, and go back to wherever the hell you crawled out from. You glance at Vesna. There is a spout of oxygen spewing out from her suit, leaking between her fingers. She doesn't have long. We can't abandon this claim. Peter shows his open palms. For the singers to survive, we must leave this system behind. There is no way for us to support ourselves here. Our moon is gone, eaten up by the war. The belt will be next. You may as well shoot me here if you're not going to let me take the drive. This is my people's future. Well, Eugen shifts his shoulders. If you insist. Sleeper, we have incoming. A lot of incoming. You glance at Eugen. He's hearing the message too. A whole load of Conway ships are approaching this location. Can we outrun them? I have no idea, but the sooner we leave, the better. Seraphin's voice distorts. Conway drone ships don't tend to ask questions. You look across at Peter and see his lips moving, but hear nothing. He is talking to his crew. A moment later, you hear a click as he switches back to the open channel. If you heard what I just heard, then you know we are out of time. Peter looks deadly serious now, his face of diplomatic calm having fallen away. We singers are the only crew who can pull the fraction drive out before Conway arrives. There are more of us and we have the experience. Let us take it. Don't let it fall into the hands of the system's biggest enemy. Sleeper, Seraphin hisses over the comms. Get back to the rig. No, Eugen cuts in. You aren't sure if he is responding to Seraphin, Peter, or both. The drive is ours. I've worked too hard and come too far to let it go now. He raises the long gun to his shoulder. You're all insane, Vesna spits out the words, her voice strained and hoarse. I'll leave you to your graves. She kicks off from the rock, arching towards the crimson shape of the limb hound. Eugen doesn't even watch her go. You see something flaring in his eyes. Dark drive with no other resolution. Yeah, no, I'm getting out of here. You turn your back on Peter and Eugen and kick off hard from the dusty rock. As you glide towards the rig, you look back to see Eugen launching himself for the cover of the debris, the scatter of particles across the dusty plain indicating projectiles launching from both sides. You can see the singers now, so many of them, their matte black suits concealing them against the void, but not the pale rock. They are appearing out of the scrap, aiming long guns at Eugen's position. You see a puff of oxygen as one of them is hit and spins wildly away from the rock, traveling on a deadly vector into the waiting void. You hit the open airlock, slamming hard into the interior door. In moments, it is cycled and you pull off your suit and head to the cockpit. Seraphin's console screen is filled with red pulses, the signatures of Conway drone ships bearing down on this lonely rock. He glances up as you enter the cockpit, but says nothing. You're thankful for that, at least. This is no time for glib remarks. You take one last look at the Aphelion past's final resting place, now cloaked in clouds of fresh dust that obscure the violence taking place on its surface. And then the drive kicks in, and you leave its inhabitants to their fates. The ship is quiet as you dock, with a hollow. No one eager to speak about what happened out there in the shoals. Even Seraphin, who rarely had a good word to say about Eugen, is silent, tapping away at the engine shutdown with comfortingly routine motions. I mean, he was on our crew for a while. Might as well have some final thoughts for him, at least. You try to imagine what might be happening on that rock you fled from. Your mind oscillates between improbable heroism and chilling violence. Eugen fighting off the singers and taking their ship. Eugen joining with the singers against Conway and holding the rock. Eugen cut to pieces by singer weapons. The entire rock immolated by Conway ordnance. You shake the images from your head. You know how dangerous it is to dwell on these things. You feel the sudden urge to be somewhere loud and busy to drown out your thoughts. You pass through the airlock and into the hollow, seeking the busy drone of the radius markets. You enter them like a swimmer dropping into deep water, allowing yourself to become swallowed up. You float in the noise. Sleeper! Lewis's voice snaps you out of your reverie. You're back. You find the you-know-what? He glances around nervously. Where's Eugen? Conway came for the drive. Lewis freezes. I saw the signals, all those drone ships. That was for you? He swallows hard. And Eugen. Lewis sees the depths of your expression. He opens his mouth and closes it again. No words come. So, the bastard's gone. You see a glittering tear form at the corner of Lewis's eye and drift away, spinning in 0G. He doesn't acknowledge it. Sorry, I just... He pauses. Something was bound to catch up with him. He swallows again, running out of words. He might have made it out. Lewis laughs weakly. He's always been slippery. Silence falls between the two of you now, a silence filled with the hum of the radius markets. Lewis watches the people file past, clearly considering something. I think, he smiles a weak smile, this is over for me. He frowns at the crowd. I don't want to do this anymore. This scramble, this struggle for the scraps of a long-dead corporate corpse. It's not a future, not one that I want. He looks at you, his eyes wet. Chasing signals means tracing the kind of tech people kill for, tracking bounties to their hidden refuge. It's a job that ensures the past always catches up, no matter the distance made. I can choose to take a different path. He looks down. I'm not sure I was ever cut out for this anyway. What will you do? Find work. He rubs his hands together, suddenly cold. I still have debts to pay. But if I can make some cryo with the crew, then I can move on. You look at Lewis, desperate and struggling, but eager to free himself. Perhaps he could do so as part of your crew. But who is this signal chaser? And what do you know about him? You know what? We have plenty of strays already. Ask him to join the crew. Lewis blinks rapidly at the offer, unsure if you are serious. I would. He coughs and starts again. I'd be very grateful for that. He smiles and looks away, frowning. I'll get the few things I have and then join you at the dock. He turns back to you. Thank you. He shakes his head. You'll not regret it. He turns now and pushes off into the slowly passing crowd. In a few moments, he has disappeared. Just another figure in the flow of the belt, attempting to steer themselves towards a better future. Something in you feels glad that all this might still lead to a future for someone. You think of Eugen one final time, and then turn away and head back to the rig. New ship crew available. Drive failed. That's just how it goes. Well, might as well finish up this now that we're back on the Hollow. The worst of the damage has been repaired, and the Hollow's pole can start to be repopulated. What do you mean, fried, Kimball? Our station depends on that array. The voice echoes out of one of the sunward pole's cramped bays, tucked up in the ceiling of the Hollow. Though you are tired from a shift spent sealing leaks in the shattered section of the station, you still can't help but listen in. I have been patient, Kimball, but now with the repairs almost done, you're telling me we can't broadcast anyway? The voice comes from a doorway nearby, and as you float past, you glance inside. You see a woman facing away, dressed in the back of a man half buried in the guts of some complex machine. I'm sorry, Kimball, she concludes, but that just feels malicious. The man, presumably Kimball, mumbles something in response, though you do not catch it through the wires and mechanism that surround him. The woman quickly turns and spots you peering in through the doorway. She gives you a curious look. Oh, she quickly smiles. Hello. She closes the distance. I'm Cyrene. She offers a hand. I've seen you work on the repairs. She tilts her head. We appreciate your effort. Happy to help. Cyrene looks over her shoulder at Kimball and then back to you. How do you feel? She pauses, calculating. At the war in the inner system. It's worrying for the belt. I agree, which is why the belt needs to stay informed about it. Did you know that Senate Stat has already started shipbuilding at Cinza? Cyrene watches you for your response. Senate Stat? You're kidding me, right? The corporation had started up the Can channel at the heart of the system, triggered the war with Conway. She glances back at Kimball. Are you hearing this? You hear a grunt from Kimball, his head still buried in the machine's innards, and it's unclear if it is in reference to what was said or is just the sound of repairs going poorly. We, Cyrene places a hand on her chest, are the Aphelion dispatches, the only pirate radio station in the Starward Belt. She lifts her chin proudly. We keep the system up to date on shifts in the system's power structures and the ongoing corporate war, all through the voice of the Aphelion system's own residents. Kimball grunts again, and a shower of sparks bursts from the machine behind Cyrene. Or at least we did, before our transmitter got fried. Cyrene looks suddenly crestfallen. So what happened? All the repair work you've been giving your time to? That was all caused by a Conway autonomous munition, trained on our scent. Cyrene's eyes flash with anger. A mumble comes from Kimball as he pushes a handful of wiring out of his way. I do know that for sure, Kimball. Why else would it come so deep into the belt to hit the hollow at our broadcast site? Cyrene turns back, hands on her hips. Kimball responds with a shrug. Either way, straight after that attack, we found our gear had been tampered with, sabotaged. Kimball grunts. Yes, Kimball, or just looted. Either way, we are now quiet. When we are quiet, the war continues unobserved. Cyrene folds her arms and looks away defeated. What do you need? Look, we need a new broadcast array, a better broadcast array. Cyrene glances over her shoulder. We don't quite have the reach we'd like. Where you get one, that's another problem. We're talking pre-collapse tech here. It's not something we can just build ourselves. Kimball mutters something from the depths of the machine. Yeah, Holmes Rock isn't a bad idea, Cyrene replies. It used to be a relay station for Solheim. Stands to reason they'd have arrays. Then there's a terminal there. Kimball's been bugging me to dig out some engine components for him to crack open and use in his repairs. God knows what kind of repairs he'd need for those for, but that's what he says. Cyrene looks over her shoulder at Kimball, but receives no response. You both stare at his broad shoulders for a moment as a thin trail of smoke begins to emerge from the machine. That is not good. Now, maybe we can do a little fundraising here on the Hollow. What we can get, we'll happily hand over. Cyrene shakes her head. But I'm telling you now, it won't be a lot. I mean, I'll see what I can do. We'd appreciate it. Hell, the people of the Aphelion system would appreciate it. She glances over her shoulder. I think Kimball would appreciate it too. You leave Cyrene and Kimball to the repairs, making note of the engine components and wideband array they'll need to get back on the air. It's hard to tell if the job will be worth your time. Then again, someone as knowledgeable as Cyrene might be a useful asset.